What's going on, guys? It's Justin from Push and Profit. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. Now in this video, we're going to be talking about a penny stock that actually has, potential to make a nice solid uptrend. And of course we like uptrends, so we're going to be talking about why this has potential to go, higher. I'm going to be talking about this from a technical standpoint, but I'm also going to be talking about this from an external, standpoint of different external factors that could influence the stock. Now, if you guys are very familiar with this channel, then you guys know that I primarily trade based off technical analysis, but every now and then we have to discuss, external factors and catalysts that can affect, the price of a stock. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, the company that I am referring to is the ticker symbol IDEX. Now, this is a company that operates in two separate divisions. It's going to be Autonomic Mobility and then Autonomic Capital, right? So basically, because it operates in these two different divisions, it lets investors participate in two different markets. For example, they're focusing heavily on the EV market and also on the fintech market, right? Now, me personally, I'm not much of a fan that they're kind of branching off into two separate different markets. Maybe some people might see this as a plus. I kind of don't see that much as a good plus, just because I'm a firm believer that if you want to exceed and do well on something, you should just channel in and focus on one topic. But again, that's what they're doing, and we're going to talk about a few things on their EV market, right? We're not going to really pay attention to the fintech market side of IDEX. Now, the reason I'm really interested in IDEX is just because of the whole overall business model that they're focusing on. The EV side, they're looking to capitalize on all areas of the whole entire EV market. Right now, they're focusing on EV vehicles, commercial vehicles, but they're also focusing on the sources of energy for EV vehicles. So they're trying to just get all corners of the EV market, which is very smart on their part. And then they recently in January acquired a company called Wave, which is focusing on changing the dynamic of the EV market, where typically with EVs we're kind of focusing on charging stations at the moment, but Wave is doing something that's very innovative, where they're actually going to have pads on the streets where electric commercial vehicles like buses can just go over those pads and charge up on those pads instead of having to stay on a typical charging station or charging port like other EV manufacturing or charging stations are focusing on. Now, although they had that acquisition of Wave, IDEX is still focusing on other components in the EV market, such as batteries and charging stations. So in reality, what they're doing is kind of similar to someone who's going to win in the game of Monopoly, like the board game, where when you play and you buy more spaces and the more you acquire, the better off you're going to be, versus the other player who is just simply not taking advantage of this open market. Right now, the EV market is still boiling hot. There's still a lot going into it. So in reality, what IDEX is doing is they're planting their seed all over, where they're focusing on batteries, charging stations, and also the technology from Wave. And again, they also have that other sector where they're focusing on fintech, which who knows, down the line they may even incorporate their fintech technologies into EV, right, where they might have an easier processing system for sales of EV, or whatever the case may be. Now again, I'm not 100% sure why they're focusing on these two different sectors, but who knows, maybe they have a crazy master plan. But what I'm really interested, like I said, is what they're doing in the EV space. As I mentioned earlier, I'm someone who, when I trade, typically really rely on the technical analysis aspect of trading. So with that being said, we're gonna go hop into my computer, because although we're talking about these external factors and catalysts that can affect this stock to blow up, such as what they're doing in the EV space, I think you guys will really enjoy my perspective on the technical analysis, because again, I'm just someone who just likes looking at the charts, and I'm sure you guys are going to be very interested in what the charts are presenting. So with that being said, make sure to hit that like button, because it really does help out with the YouTube algorithm. And then let's go on to the juicy part of the video. Alrighty, so now we're officially in my computer screen. Right now we're looking at the chart for IDEX. We're looking at the 4-hour chart, right? Now, one thing we have to take note of is what's going on recently. We see this massive sell-off right now. A lot of people might panic with this, but obviously, we got to take into consideration that, this just presents a better opportunity if it does bounce off the linear regression channel. We could see that it's slowly approaching, or it is basically on the linear regression channel, the middle channel right over here. Now, if we could, have it bounce up, then that's just going to show signs of an uptrend, and then that's just a confirmation entry point. Now again, you don't want to just buy in just because it's touching the linear regression channel. That just means that we just want to take our eyes and focus on what's going on, because again, it could potentially bounce up. Now if it breaks below the linear regression channel, then clearly do not enter. Again, we want to wait for that sign of confirmation. So I would say a good entry is if we could see it go above 338. And once we see it going above 338, we want to see if it could continue going up. It'd be a stronger uptrend if it goes above 386. Once it goes above 386, that's just a solid uptrend. And this has a potential to make about almost 70% if it reaches back to, the peak when we had in, early February. So that's just a really great opportunity. Now, where can you lock in your profits? You can lock in your profits in a multitude of different areas. If you want to be very conservative, you could lock in your profits very early where we hit this simple moving average, right? Where it's at 386. So if you buy in at, 336 and you sell at 386, that's a nice almost 15% gain, but that's very conservative. If you want to do this as a swing trade, you could see if it does break above this area. If it doesn't, then of course you're going to want to lock in your profits. If you see it touch this area and start slowly coming down, lock in your profits immediately. But if it does break above 386, then you could hold on, and then maybe another area is 468. But if you're really wanting to capture the whole trade and willing to do that, then of course we could go and see if it reaches the peak. Again, you don't want to bag hold, you want to mitigate your risk. So once you see things breaking down and going down, reaching a validation point, then you're going to want to sell and exit. I have a whole video talking about when to sell and exit, so definitely check that out. Now, we also have to take a look at the RSI. On the 4-hour chart, we just recently hit an oversold area. We bounced up, and then we came back down to the linear regression channel. So this does have, the potential to break even lower. But if we do break above, then that's still a good sign because, we're still, oversold on the RSI. So it's just, a good, indication of that this could potentially bounce up. Again, it doesn't have to, but it just is an indicator that it can. And then also on the MACD, we could clearly see that it's curling up, which is really good. We also see, a little bit green on the MACD. So that's just, a couple of indicators to take note of. Again, I don't really focus too much on indicators. I'm mostly just looking at price action. But again, when you combine the technical analysis along with the external catalysts that can, impact this stock, then, we are looking at a very positive uptrending play. Again, it's not guaranteed, so that's why I always want to make sure that you guys are doing your due diligence. But if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button. And with that being said, guys, thank you for watching this video. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And also consider checking out the links in the description below, because one of the links is going to be a link for Webull, where if you sign up, you're eligible to get 2 free stocks. Webull is a great platform to trade. I always recommend it for new traders. And also consider clicking the first link in our description below. There's going to be a link to our free Facebook group. It's the Push and Profit Facebook group. And essentially, it's just a community that I'm building of individuals interested in trading in the stock market.